how their car is still at low pressure when you're doing something
So I provided some lines for you to answer those questions on.
How resources are cut off, the land is very cut off again. America is resources
What would you say is So interesting misconception that I just found out, well not found out, but realized is that when it says America, right, we often think, when people say America, they often think of just the United States. In reality, America is Canada, the United States, Central America, right, and then South America. So when it says America, right, the Mexicans that are living in New Spain, right, they're actually referencing themselves too, right, because it's centric to their point of view. Right? So they're thinking from their point of view that they are America, right? And today we think about America as just being the United States, right? But in the past it was a little different. Right? So just keep that in mind as it says America in some of these passages. So I think yeah, so this is Spain.
I thought it was like there. We call it North America and South America, but it's not.
You want to read that? Alright, so let's come back together and let's talk about the main idea of this one. Alright, so what did people say was the main idea of this? Yeah. Yes, yes, please help me. Adilene. Okay, Adilene. Next.
And the main idea was about like this whole like the primary source is that it's basically saying there's like a lot of limitation between like Mexico and America because the fake prices that they have and how they're limited like to doing things like their personal stuff and then like their property rights too, like they're really limited America, so like they're like isolated from them.
Right. Yeah, and so keep in mind that as we talk about America, right, we're talking from the Latin American perspective, specifically from the Central American region. All right, and very good though. So right, so property, right? So and then the ability to trade as they please, right? What about the second question? Why is, and it kind of ties along with the main idea. Why is it unfair though for Latin America to be experiencing mercantilism? Yeah.
Because they're not getting like the full profit of what they're putting out. So like they're being cheated out of their money.
Very good, right? So they're being cheated out of profits that they could otherwise attain if it wasn't under this mercantile system. Very good. And so for the last one, if you were Juan Pablo, who would you send a letter to? Who would you address it to?
Spain.
Spain? Would you send it to the monarch?
Probably.
Yeah. Very good. All right. So good. So think about the intended audience, right, of a primary source. That's always important if you're trying to dissect a primary source. All right. So since we're running short on time, I will just give you a brief preview of the caste. So this is a caste system that was in place in Mexico, right? And so you see all these castes, right? They had all these different sections of social structure, and each of them depended on where you were from and your race, right? So if you were Spain from the Iberian Peninsula, right, you were at the top. You were at the top of the social pyramid, and if you were a slave, you were at the bottom of the social pyramid. And any mixing of those groups in between, that's who filled in the gaps in between, all right? And so it's important to keep that in mind because this actually leads to a lot of tension in between the classes because it's not really clear who is who, right? You can't always tell where a person is from just based off the color of the skin or their name, right? And so this is important as we learn about the, right, this is the coals of the independence movement, right? And so as we think about, right, the kind of the fire, and if we turn to the backside, right, the fire really happened, and kind of the match that lit that fire was this guy named Miguel Hidalgo, and we won't read this primary source just to save on time, but Miguel Hidalgo, right, led this movement, all right, to try and free the slaves, to try and equalize the races, all right, but guess what? He didn't actually get anywhere. He was killed just a couple days later, all right? And it's interesting because Mexico today celebrates that as their Independence Day. September 16th is our Independence Day, but the person who was behind that movement actually was killed, all right? And instead, what we know as our actual Independence Day happened with this guy named Agustin Iturbide, who you see at the bottom of your paper there, right? And he was this peninsular, so he was at the top of the social pyramid, right? And he, along with the Creoles and the Mestizos, who make up kind of the middle pack of the social pyramid, they actually revolted against